We call Earth as our home, but we are not alone here. We share our home with millions of species of plants and animals, ranging from huge whale to microscopic bacteria. Plants, trees, animals, and microorganisms maintain the quality of the earth's air, water, and soil, which are the necessary for the survival of human being. Plants and trees are the primary producer on which all the species of animals depends directly or indirectly. Forest is a big resource for human being. From the forest they collect wood, bark, leaves, rubber, medicines, dyes, food, fuel, fodder, manure, and many more things. Throughout the world there are variety of forests and species. Thus, variety of living organism found in a country or region is called its biological diversity or biodiversity. We, the human being, do not live in isolation from plants and animals around us. Various species that form the biodiversity of a region are interdependent upon each other. For example, food web. Food web is an excellent example of interdependence of all the living organisms. On the earth, we find two types of communities, plant community and animal community. The plant community is known as flora and animal community is known as fauna. Each and every country in the world have a set of flora and fauna. Let's talk about the biodiversity of India. India is one of the 12 mega biodiversity countries of the world. With about 47,000 plant species, India occupies 10th place in the world and 4th in Asia. There are about 15,000 flowering plants which account 6% in the world's total number of flowering plants. The country has many non-flowering plants such as fern, algae and fungi. India also has approximately 90,000 species of animals as well as rich variety of fish. Flora and fauna in the country has been depleting and hunting of animals for their body parts and deforestation has become common practice. As a result, many wildlife resources are vanishing from the country. About 10% of India's wild flora and 20% of its mammals are on the threatened list. It includes 79 species of mammals, 44 of birds, 15 of reptiles, with some amphibian species. While some species have become extinct like cheetah, pink-head duck, mountain quail, and forest spotted owlet. IUCN means International Union for Conservation of Natural Resources has identified and classified the species into different categories. These are normal species, extinct species, endangered species, vulnerable species, rare species, and endemic species. Normal species are those species whose population level are considered to be normal for their survival, such as cattle, sow, pine, rodent, etc. Extinct species are those species which are not found after search of known or likely area where they may occur. A species may be extinct from a local area, region, country, continent, or the entire earth. For example, Asiatic cheetah and pink-head duck. Endangered species are those species which are in danger of extinction. The survival of such species is difficult if the negative factor that have led to a decline in their population continue to operate. The example of such species are blackbuck, crocodile, Indian wild ass, Indian rhino, lion-tailed macaw, etc. Now come to vulnerable species. These are the species whose population has declined to levels from where it is likely to move into endangered category in the near future if the negative factors continue to operate. The example of such species are blue sheep, Asiatic elephant, Gangetic dolphin. Next is rare species. Species with small population may move into endangered category or vulnerable category if the negative factors affecting them continue to operate. The example of such species are Himalayan brown bear, wild Asiatic buffalo, desert fox, and hornbill, etc. Next is endemic species. These are the species which are only found in some particular areas, normally isolated by geographical or natural barriers. The example of such species are Andaman teal, Nicobar pigeon, and Andaman wild pig in the Andaman and Nicobar, while Mithun in Arunachal Pradesh. So here we completed the classification of species. The next topic is factors responsible for the depletion of flora and fauna. But before we start the topic, here we will take two species. One is cheetah and the second is Himalayan ewe. We will find how these animals have become extinct in the recent year. Prior to 20th century, cheetah was widely distributed throughout Asia and Africa, but today the Asian cheetah is nearly extinct due to the decline of available habitat and prey. The species was declared extinct in India long back in 1952. And Himalayan yew, which is a medicinal plant found in Himachal Pradesh and Arunachal Pradesh. A chemical compound called taxol is extracted from the trees and it has been successfully used to treat some cancer. The species is under great threat due to overexploitation. In the last one decade, thousands of yew trees have dried up in the various parts of Himachal Pradesh and Arunachal Pradesh. Now starts what are the factors responsible for the depletion of flora and fauna. The first factor is hunting and poaching for the animals' body part. The next factor is deforestation and destruction of habitat of the species. The depletion has also caused due to large-scale development project, wood collection and grazing activities, and industrial urban economy. Due to scientific forestry and monocultivation, the biodiversity of the country has been lost. Environmental pollution, forest fire has also resulted in the depletion of flora and fauna. So if we check the overall causes of depletion of flora and fauna, so these are hunting and poaching, habitat destruction, deforestation, overexploitation, enrichment plantation, environmental pollution, and forest fire. So day to day, print media, electronic media keep on spreading the message related to the conservation of forest. So in the school, you must have participated in the poster making competition for the conservation of flora and fauna. Even Government of India, time to time, they appeal people for the conservation of animals and plants. Various community and NGO, they organize event on the conservation of forest. So let's talk about the conservation method of the flora and fauna in India. The first major steps were taken by the Indian government by constructing Indian Wildlife Protection Act 1972. which says that provision for habitat protection, list of protected species, legal provision against hunting and poaching, restriction on trade in wildlife, and setting up of national parks and sanctuaries for the endangered species. So the government have already started project on Royal Bengal tiger, one-horned rhino, Kashmir stag, crocodile, gharial, and Asiatic lion for their protection. More recently, Indian elephant, black buck, great Indian bustard, snow leopard has been also given protection against the hunting and poaching all over India. Let's talk about Project Tiger. In 1973, the authorities realized that the tiger population had declined to 1827 from an estimated 55,000 at the turn of the century. The major threat to the tiger population are numerous, such as poaching for trade, shrinking habitat, depletion of prey, and growing human population, etc. The trade of tiger skin and the use of their bone in traditional medicines, especially in the Asian countries, left the tiger population on the verge of extinction. Since India and Nepal provided habitat to about two-thirds of the surviving tiger population in the world, these two nations became prime target for poaching and illegal trading. Tiger Project, one of the well-published wildlife campaign in the world, was launched in the year 1973. Tiger conservation has been viewed not only as an effort to save an endangered species, but with equal importance as a means of preserving biotypes of sizable magnitude. Corbett National Park in Uttarakhand, Sundarban National Park in West Bengal, Bandhavgarh National Park in Madhya Pradesh, Sariska Wildlife Sanctuary in Rajasthan, Manas Tiger Reserve in Assam, Pedir Tiger Reserve in Kerala are some of the major tiger reserves of India. Now let's talk about the forest. So forest in India has been classified in three categories: reserve forest, protected forest, and unclassed forest. More than half of the total forest has been declared reserve forest. Reserve forests are regarded as the most valuable as far as the conservation of the forest and wildlife resources are concerned. Jammu and Kashmir, Andhra Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, and Maharashtra have large percentages of reserve forest of its total forest areas. Now let's talk about protected forest. So almost one third of the total forest area is protected forest, such as declared by the Forest Department. These forest lands are protected from any further depletion. Bihar, Haryana, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Odisha, Rajasthan have a bulk of forest under protected forest. The area of reserve and protected forest, together known as permanent forest. This is because the human activities in these forests are not allowed. Madhya Pradesh has the highest percentage of permanent forest. Last is unclassed forest. Unclassed forests are the other forest and wasteland belonging to both government and private individual and communities. Northeastern states and parts of Gujarat have a very high percentage of unclassed forests managed by the local communities. Now let's talk about the role of community towards the conservation of forest. In some areas of India, local communities are taking the responsibility of conserving the habitat along with the government officials. For example, in Sariska Tiger Reserves, Rajasthan, villagers have fought against mining activities. In many areas, villagers themselves are protecting habitats. The famous Chipko movement in the Himalaya has not only successfully resisted deforestation in several areas but also shown that community afforestation with indigenous species can be enormously successful. In India, Joint Forest Management Program furnishes a good example for involvement local communities in the management and restoration of degraded forest. The program has been in formal existence since 1988 when the state of Odisha passed the first resolution for joint forest management. Joint forest management depend upon the formation of local institutions that undertake protection activities mostly on degraded forest land management by the forest department.